So the Dayton part, it's a great example of one of the really useful things about the reseller community, being able to put up videos on YouTube. Yeah, I had just seen John's video, and it's been months since I had anybody who requested a shipping address correction. And I just saw that last night, and today I actually got one. So instead of spending time looking around to figure out where it went, John informed me last night, and I'm glad to pass the tip on to you. If you're looking for a way to edit shipping addresses to your buyers who request them these days, nope, eBay's changed the policy. And we'll get into that in a little bit in this video. But all I did in this case, since it was basically going to the same address, I hand wrote the addition onto the label. It saved me for the whole cancellation, relist, and then having to have the buyer redo it. And of course, eBay's always trying to sell the changes as good for you, good for the buyer, good for the seller, because it reduces anxiety. But does it really? Let's take a look at that as we pack today down here at the bench. And this ties in directly with a video I recently saw from John over at Flippin' Ain't Easy about a policy change that eBay made back in May when they introduced their spring seller update. Now, I saw some of this, but I did not grasp the particular implication that John was talking about. It's about buyers who make the purchase and then request an address change, right? You already sold it to them, and then they say the address is wrong. I hadn't gotten one of these in some time, so it was by mere coincidence that I saw his video. I watched the video clip from eBay he had embedded in his video, and then the next day I had this question from a buyer. We're going to get into that a little bit as I go out and pack the item, but it's an interesting point about how eBay promulgates information. Right? They're really not very good at it. And in the old days, about the only thing you could really do is call customer service or go to the top of any eBay page screen where it says help and search, and you could ask to see the policy or the change. But the problem with that, as always, is that it's not really kept current. For this particular event, this little hurdle I was given by the buyer, right, he shared his problem with me. Now, to some extent, it became my problem. Well, in the old days, there were really only two choices. You either make the change he requests and you risk your seller protection, or you say, nope, got to cancel it, and then you fix your problem, you do you, and then I can resell you the item. And of course, the real issue with that is the buyers get upset that you won't fix their problem, or they go away and buy from somebody else, and you've lost the sale, and you've got to spend the time relisting the item that was defaulted on. Well, it turns out that eBay, during their spring seller update, they had Ron Havian, one of their VPs. He was doing this video, and he addresses this very topic of the change, but it's buried 16 minutes into the seller update, and it's kind of tacked on as an afterthought. He's talking about eBay auctions and the changes to support things like eBay Live and eBay auctions and getting buyers to pay. And then he says, oh, and we've changed. And he goes on to say that they've now created this 15-minute window. The buyer has to self-correct his own problems. And then after the 15-minute window, the seller gets sent the information confirming the sale. The buyer gets locked out of making changes, and it creates a bigger problem. And if you get a chance, you should go over to John's video and you should watch it. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take an excerpt from that spring update, the one where they made this change, and I'm going to show it to you today. And that way you've at least got some idea of what we're talking about. Because it can really ruin a sale when a buyer sends you the note that says, the address in my eBay account is wrong. Please make the change for me. We can't do it anymore.
On the right side, we'll talk a little bit about fixed price. We also know that there's a pain point with many sellers having mentioned, fixed price cancellations. How many of you have gotten a message right after something sold and a buyer is asking you to change the shipping information or the payment information or just cancel the transaction outright? Well, starting this month, when a buyer makes a fixed price purchase, we'll lock the listing for 15 minutes, and during that window, the buyer can go in and edit their own shipping information or their payment information or cancel the order, and you won't be bothered. After the 15 minutes, the order will then become confirmed, and we'll send out the notifications as normal to both the buyer and the seller, and the transaction will be completed. But this gives a window for buyers to correct issues on their own, which will reduce cancellation requests, it will reduce friction for you, who would have otherwise had to deal with these, in post-order requests from buyers. So we continue to try to roll out practical product updates that are going to make selling on eBay easier, save you time, reduce day-to-day friction, keep you compliant, and just help you sell with more confidence and help our buyers every day.
The interesting thing is, after I saw the video by the vice president, I went in and I actually searched on that help screen and I called up what eBay has in writing as the current policy. It's still the old one. It still says buyers who have to make a change should contact the seller. And then the seller has a couple choices based on whether he shipped it already. And they're what I said. Cancel the order, make the change, work it out. Well, the new policy that went into effect, I guess, in May, it just really wasn't put out to the sellers. eBay has the hub, and the hub has the ability to be like a giant billboard, right? If eBay wants you to know something, it can put it up on that hub, so every day when you log in and you're focused on what you have to do as a seller, the changes could appear right there, or links to these videos and changes. But they don't usually do it. And I think it's because eBay sees that hub like a big billboard, and they want to fill that with information that might create sales. All right, I saw one the other day. My entire laptop page was nothing but one advertisement for an eBay Live. Everything else was pushed down off the screen bottom, and you had to scroll to see it. So if eBay's going to make a policy change that affects us immediately, directly, sometimes a small change, a big change, why aren't they putting it out in the format we can find easily? And why aren't they going back to their own help pages and making the policies current? I've always had a problem with the way eBay makes changes to policies, but the data supporting it stays obsolete or wrong. If you find two different search results, you get two different pieces of data. So these days, I don't normally go to the help screen unless I'm curious to see what it says. Instead, I'll actually use the Google AI, and I'll ask Google, the AI, to tell me what eBay's current policy is, and I'll read it there. Now, one of the reasons I've begun relying on the AIs like Gemini to answer my questions about eBay and eBay's policies is because many of the policies written by eBay in that help and search screen, they're just not specific enough. I found myself reading the entire policy multiple times and wondering what it really says or whether it is an answer to my specific question. I'll give you an example, because one example is probably better than me just running on about this topic. Recently, from an auction lot, I got a men's magazine, vintage 70s, and I hadn't handled that magazine before. So the first question is, under the adult material policy, is this title allowed to be sold? Because we know we can sell Penthouse, we can sell Playboy, there's some rules, but you can sell those, and we know we can't sell things like Hustler. So if you find these obscure magazines from the 70s, can you sell it or not sell it? You go read the policy, you type it in the help screen, it brings up the policy, you read the whole thing, there's not enough information there to know. So what are your choices? Don't list it because you're afraid of getting a ding on your account, a policy violation. Call eBay's customer service once you get through their AI and you actually get a real person, and wonder if that person can do any more than read the same policy you just read and give you an answer. Because if they say yes and it turns out it's no and the AI pulls it down and gives you a policy violation, it's not like you can go back to eBay because there's no system by which you can really challenge those things and say, hey, your rep said I could. Now you're saying I can't and I've got a ding. So I've begun using the AIs for that. You can put in specific information. I have a 1970s copy of this magazine. Here's the photo of the cover. Can this item be listed? And I trust that answer more than I trust an interpretation of a general eBay policy. But it turns out that what John shows on his video, this video clip from the vice president, it's on eBay's YouTube channel. Yeah, if you didn't know, eBay has their own YouTube channel. And I guess I'm going to have to start paying more attention to it and actually include it in my search for answers when these roadblocks and these hurdles are put up in front of us. Because if eBay's deciding to put it out on a YouTube video instead of actually making the changes in their own website, then that may be the place to go, or at least to consider. The best thing would probably be use the help pages, the YouTube channel eBay runs, and something like Google AI. And that way you can kind of compare the responses. Now, with eBay going on to YouTube and beginning to put out so much of their policy changes on YouTube, it shouldn't remove the need for them to go back and fix the supporting internal paperwork. Yeah, it's good that they're getting a change out to a timely audience. If they actually keep the audience informed that that's where they're going to make the changes, it seems like that's where they're emphasizing the change. It should be all of the above. It should appear on the hub. It should be there in the help screen. It should be there on the YouTube videos. They should be taking every opportunity to get the changes out to the seller. And frankly, they don't. As of yesterday, the eBay page for help lists the policies, and they don't reflect what that vice president of eBay had to say in his video. And they made that change back in May. This is August, and those pages are still obsolete. So when you can't trust eBay's own data supporting eBay's policies, what alternatives are you left with? Well, we're going to get into how I fix this specific problem with this Dayton part, because it can really ruin a sale when a buyer sends you a note that says, the address in my eBay account is wrong. Please make the change for me. We can't do it anymore. And I wonder how many eBay sellers are even aware of that. I wasn't. It completely went over my head if I saw it, but then I didn't go looking on eBay YouTube for the answers. But I can almost envision myself, if I hadn't seen John's video in a timely manner, I'd be searching, I'd be looking around on the eBay screens, and I'd be saying, where did that edit function go that's always been here? I used to be able to type in the correction, overwrite what was in there, and if it made sense in each situation to do it, I did it. And this idea that they've made the change to help us and relieve anxiety on our part, or improve anxiety on the buyer's part, I don't think I buy that either, because buyers want the sellers to fix it. They don't want to hear about how they got 15 minutes and they missed their window and now they've got to cancel, or the package is going to be sent to the wrong address. They don't care. They know they spotted an error and they want the seller to fix it. And now eBay has said, we've removed that option from you sellers. Well, it's time for me to go pack. And one of the interesting items is this one right here. It's made by Dayton, retailed by Grainger. You can always spot the Grainger items because of the big part number right there. And the buyer in this case sent me a note. And the note's interesting because it has to do with the reselling community on YouTube. I was watching a video last night, John Flipping Ain't Easy, and he was saying that he had just noticed a change that happened in May. And I saw something about part of the change, but had missed the part he brought up. eBay has changed the way sellers can adjust shipping addresses. It used to be, you had to worry about your seller protection, but if somebody purchased something and then sent you a note and said, oh, my shipping address has an error, or I meant to have this shipped to my nephew, and could you change the address? There was always a bit of a risk to changing the address on the seller end. And what I used to do is I'd take a look at the message in totality. I was really careful for drop shippers. I didn't want to be getting caught in that situation. But if it was, say it was going out to the same last name as the person who bought it, I just wanted to say I wanted to send it to my daughter or my grandson, I'd usually make those changes without worrying about it, especially if I'd kept the confirmation message in which the buyer had requested the change. I always figured that was enough proof that I did what they asked. And then I always go back out to them and say, okay, I made the change you requested. Well, it seems that back in May, eBay made some of these changes. And as they do with many of these changes, they promulgate it, but not necessarily in places that are easy for us to find. In this case, they said they're going to put a stop to the whole problem. And it's interesting how they do it. Now the buyer has basically 15 minutes to go in and make any address changes or to change the payment method on their credit card, and then the changes are locked out. The seller can't even make the changes. In this case today, they simply need to have a P.O. box added to the existing address. So I told them, I said, I can give you two choices under the new rules. I can either handwrite the P.O. box on the label after I print it, or we can cancel it. You can make the correction in your admin, in your account, and then you can buy it again. So they said, go ahead and make the P.O. box addition to the label as it prints. And since it's just an addition to the same physical address, I don't expect any problem. I just have to remember to do it when I print the label. Now here is the Valve Rebuild Kit. And you'll notice I like to put both the Dayton number and the Grainger part number. A lot of people search for Grainger part numbers on eBay. And what's in the kit? Well, I always like to put a shot showing the pieces they're getting. That way there's no doubt. Size reference, a little bit about the instructions and application. This is a $58.79 sale. We may have discounted that a little bit, but we also charge shipping. We always do. $8.49. The question though is, where is it going and what is the zip code? Yeah, it's like the question of the day since 12 July. Well, the Dayton kit comes in at about 7 ounces on the scale with the box. Now normally what I would do in the past is I would cut down the box. I'd line it up, I'd lift a flap like this so I could see, and in this case I would just use this reference mark right here to do my scoring. And since it won't matter for the ground advantage inversion, that's what I'm going to do. And then it just takes less void fill. We freehand the score box on the outside before folding it. That way we just have to make 2 rough passes and we'll get her taped up. I make my cut downs and folds on the bottom of the box. That way the top looks a little better, has a flat spot for a label. And there it is. I've cut it down. And in this case I don't even really need any void fill because these flaps are going to fold in. And once the flap's in, that's not moving around. Let's get her taped up. And there we go. We've given it a collar, centered it. We'll fold her up, tape her. Let's see what she weighs. Yep, we could even trim the flaps and come in under 8 ounces. So I've trimmed the flaps. It's just my nature. There's how much I trimmed off the 3 sides. It's a full fold underneath. It'll be an 8-ounce pack, but now the question is it going to a rural destination? If it was, taking the time to do that was a waste because I'll have to pay for the 15.99 ounce rate anyway. Let's take a look. Now this is the one I have to add a P.O. box to. It's going to Mars, Pennsylvania. 15 ounces would cost me $8.13. Now let's actually take it down to what it was, an 8-ounce pack, $6.24. Mars, Pennsylvania must not be a rural zip. I've got to open up the eBay message I was sent and copy down the P.O. box on the label. But first we'll buy the label. So you can see the buyer asked me to please add P.O. Box 624. And all I'm going to do is write that in a couple of places on the label and then tape over it so it doesn't get smudged. When the carrier gets to the street number on the rest of the label, they'll know what box to drop it in. I suspect it's one of those places where, you know, there's kind of a mail room or a big delivery area or a bank of mailboxes because it uses a street number and a P.O. box. But buried in that message that John showed, he actually showed a little video, he showed a message, but it basically says, in order to stop confusion and anxiety. But the way they go about making the changes, if anything, I think they add to the confusion and anxiety. What was wrong with simply allowing it if certain conditions were met? Simply stopping either party after 15 minutes, because then you go into the, well, I guess since you couldn't fix my address, I'm going to have to just ask you to cancel the order. And then you've got a really anxious buyer and you've got a seller doing more work. And many of these changes, as we know, eBay seems to think they're small changes, but they almost always cause us downstream problems and extra work. It's just the nature of working with eBay. You enjoy your night.